Traditionally, faculty assumed students would know how to succeed and did not teach these techniques, thereby leading to uneven success rates for students. However, learning-centered teachers facilitate student success and learning through effective teaching and learning, supportive, success-oriented strategies for all students. A review of the literature on implementing learning-centered teaching resulted in 12 separate evidence-based practices that foster student success, especially for students who struggle in college. This module also has a document that describes these 12 actions that help all students to succeed, describes a published example of how this action was implemented, and allows you space to reflect on how you can apply the action or adapt this example. I describe most of these actions here, but a few of them are in other modules as noted on the document. This is the most essential action for all students. Non-male, non-white, LGBTQ students, first-generation college students, people for whom English is not their primary language, and people with disabilities often feel threatened in higher education settings. This led many of these people to feel disempowered and unwelcome in traditional higher education settings. Many struggled or dropped out. However, it is essential for everyone in higher education to establish and maintain a safe, ethical environment for all students. The prevention of or responding to violations of moral or ethical behaviors helps to establish a safe, ethical, and moral environment for all students. Learning-centered instructors devote time and effort to building trust and to create a sense of safe community among all students, between all students, and the instructor.
It was and still is not always the case that faculty try to foster success. Some students still believe that courses such as music theory for prospective music majors and statistics for social science majors are intended to weed out several of them. Making a course overly difficult is not good pedagogy. Effective instructors may need to convince students that although they have high standards or the course material is difficult, we want them to succeed. Teachers intentionally create this environment, especially for those who have been historically marginalized, learn differently, and for online students by setting the proper expectations. When students assume responsibility for their learning, they think they can and will succeed, and then they become empowered learners. You may be surprised that some of what I list on the slide has nothing to do with academics, but they really influence if a student can succeed in a course.
Just as in building construction, scaffolds provide temporary and adjusting support in education. Some students may need more scaffolding support than others do. This can be done through providing extra resources, assistance during office hours or virtual office hours, or recommending tutoring, etc. An essential feature of scaffolding is that the support is gradually removed to help students acquire independent mastery. The document on the 12 actions describes how general chemistry faculty provided scaffolding support for their students through online homework assignments that provided immediate feedback to students and a once-a-week small group problem-solving session. These were the scaffolding supports for the students. As a result of these scaffolding activities, the percent of students receiving a D or F or withdrew from the course was cut by 1/3. These are specific skills that can be taught and with practice can be mastered. They vary depending on the level of the class, but even graduate and professional students might need help with these as the demands are different. Then students can take responsibility for their learning and succeed. We discussed growth mindsets in the first module on learning theories. Here I expand on the concept by comparing it to the opposite mindset, or fixed mindset. People with fixed mindsets believe that they were born with a certain amount of intelligence or a certain personality. With effort, these people think that they can reach their own potential, but they cannot progress beyond that point. These people with fixed mindsets view difficulties as obstacles which can lower their self-efficacy. They are prone to give up. People with growth mindsets, which is of course what you want to foster, believe that everyone can change and grow through experience, effort, and help from others. These people view difficulties as challenges. They believe that they can raise their self-efficacy if they persist and use effective strategies. Instructors can cultivate a growth mindset in students that leads to a passion for continuous learning. Reflection could be considered the engine that drives learning. Both reflection and critical review are necessary. Reflection is introspective, whereas critical review requires integration of others' perspectives. Using these metacognitive skills and good habits of the mind may differentiate between success and fulfillment in one's career and in one's personal life, and not achieving one's goals. The most effective people employ them together and frequently.
As I have said before, many faculty do not give enough attention to these metacognitive skills because there is too much concentration on content. Yet it is often these metacognitive skills that students use throughout their lives long after much of the content is forgotten. You may even think that they were enduring understandings worthy of being student learning outcomes.
Many habits of the mind exist and overlap with the other skills that we've been talking about. Scholars in this field have not agreed upon a specific list of habits of the mind. While this well-researched article came out over a decade ago, it is not well known among faculty, advisors, and administrators. I wish it were, because we are wasting time getting students to complete learning style inventories, and most of them are not valid measures. Then students complain that they are ex-learners and the teachers are not accommodating their learning needs. A more recent review of the literature shows that students favor different learning strategies in different contexts. The bottom line is that college students can and do learn in a variety of ways. In fact, a team of scholars recently published an international review of neuromyths. In their work, they found that the myth of learning styles is the one that faculty were most susceptible to believing. The link to that report is provided on your slide. Students who have been marginalized in traditional majority white campuses report prejudice, isolation, and intolerance. I want to call your attention to a wealth of relevant information on teaching inclusively and teaching about race by Stephen Brookfield. See his extensive website that I referred to elsewhere. Students who do not look like the majority of the people in the course may feel unwelcome. These differences extend well beyond skin color, although this is a very important one and obvious one. Others include age, gender, and physical disabilities. In addition, there are less obvious reasons why students may not feel welcome, including being commuters at a residential campus, first-generation college students, and all non-traditional students. As faculty, it is our responsibility to help all students feel welcome. There are many ways that we can help our students feel welcome, as I discussed here. Reflect on these suggestions as you read them, and which ones will you use?
See the document called Actions That Foster Success for All Students, but especially help those who've been marginalized in higher education for more information on these strategies and an example of how each is used.